Hey guys, my name's James and I have a Trucut C27 reel type mower. I use this for my Xeon Zoysia lawn. I had the first cut of the year this year and I did a lawn scalp. In the process, I really had to tighten down my clutch a lot. I've had this mower for 3 years. In the process, I burned my clutch out. This is the clutch plate. I ended up replacing this clutch, and I want to tell you what I did. I've already reassembled it, so I don't get to show you a play-by-play, but I've done it, and I want to tell you that if you have burned out your clutch, or if you've worn down your clutch, and you've tightened it to the point now where you have no clutch plate left, either on the blade side or the wheel side, you can repair it. It was actually not difficult at all. So now I'm going to talk you through the process, and you're welcome to ask me questions when I post this to YouTube, and I'll do my best to answer. Okay, this is the clutch system. Okay, it is what's called a dual clutch. This is the clutch sprocket. It's a free spinning, and let me show you. This is my old one. This sprocket is the clutch plate, is the clutch sprocket. The clutch pad is gone from either side. I've knocked them off. This is a free spinning, but it's locked in place. You cannot move it off this shaft. The left side of the clutch is what's used to drive the blade, and the right side of the clutch is what's used to drive the wheels. If you look at this lever, when you push that lever down, it causes the right side of the clutch to engage the clutch plate to drive the blade. And if you push this lever down, it will engage the other side. Two independent clutch systems, so it's kind of cool. This entire clutch assembly is held on with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 nuts. If you unscrew the bolts underneath these nuts, you unscrew these nuts, unscrew the nuts underneath the bolts, this whole assembly will lift off. Before you do that, you have to take out these pins, this pin and this pin, and disconnect these. And one piece of advice, before you begin anything, shoot a video just like I'm doing here. Study every single part, where it goes, because they all go back on exactly the same. Remove this, remove this. Find the link on your chain. There's a universal link, pop it open, take your chain off. Find the link, pop it open, take your chain off. Find the link, pop it open, take your chain off. All right, your chains are off. Don't worry, they're all different sizes. Unbolt the clutch assembly, take the whole thing out, and it will lift out with all of your components attached to the clutch. At the end, you can't see it very well because I greased it up. At the end, you have a pair of nuts. The inner nut is used to tighten on the shaft. It's going to tighten here, and as you tighten it up, it will push this clutch plate in, this friction plate in slightly. That's actually how you adjust the clutch to tighten it. Once you have it to the right tightness, you tighten the second nut up. It's called a jam nut, and you tighten them two together. In order to do that, you're going to need to modify one of your tools. I've taken this pipe wrench and I used my grinder to grind it to be much thinner than normal. And the reason is because the nuts are not that wide. And so when you try and grab one nut with a wrench, the wrench will overlap the other nut as well, and you can't get a handle on both of them. So I ground this one thinner, and I can put it on the inside nut, and then you can use a normal wrench on the outside. Same process on this end. You're going to find that once you take this chain off, you'll see there's an internal nut that's pretty narrow. You're going to need a thinner wrench to tighten it up, and then there's one on the outside as well. On the outside, you have a grease nipple. here, when you grease it, it will travel down internally and come out right around here under this bearing. On the outside, you have a grease nipple. When you grease it, it'll come out here under this bearing. You can repair this entire shaft without removing this grease nipple. You must remove this one. Sometimes you might have to turn it with a wrench, but it is not threaded. So once you can break it and get it loose, and I don't mean break it, I mean once you can break the seal, you can just wiggle it with a good pair of pliers or maybe a pliers and a hammer and tap it out, and it will come out and you can put it back in, but it is not threaded on the inside. Bearing, heavy spring bearing, friction plate for the blade, friction plate for the wheel, bearing, spring, bearing, shaft guide, tightening nut. This is the nut that you tighten to reduce or increase the gap on the wheel. And this is the jam nut, the one that goes on the outside. What I found is that by doing my lawn scalping, I did two things. I took this clutch pad down almost to the rivets, and on this facing here, the friction facing, I really scarred that up pretty bad. So for about $220, I was able to get a new friction plate and an entirely new sprocket with shaft for about $220 from a company called realrollers.com. They're based up in Beaufort, Georgia. They were great. They actually have acquired a bunch of diagrams from Trucut. They put the diagram on their website. You can go and simply click on the diagram and it will tell you every single part that is in this list, and you can click on it and order it. I went on and clicked on this component, the nipples and the shaft. I got it in 2 days, okay? I don't work for realrollers.com. These guys were great. I got my parts, I installed them, and my motor's back to working. So I just want you to know that if you have a Trucut 25, 26, 27, you can buy the parts you need. This is not difficult to do. There's a little trial and error you have to learn as you go along. If you have any questions, ask me on the YouTube video. I'll tell you what I did. But I was successful, and now so another thing I did, if you use your Trucut a lot, one little thing that I did was I got a bicycle caliper because I was really tired of using my thumb to hold this down. I was having to wiggle it a lot. This thing runs too fast. If I put it all the way down, I can barely keep up with the mower. So I wanted to throttle a little bit, so I created a little caliper type thing that causes this to go down. It cost me $10 on Amazon to build this. And this engages my clutch for my wheels gently. And I found that if you're going up hills or very uneven terrain, it helps that you could have both hands on the handlebars and on the handlebars of the mower without having to use one of them to push your thumb down. Man, it hurt quite a bit. Anyway, good luck to you. It wasn't difficult, so if you have a need to replace the clutch, give it a go, it'll work.